Breaking news at this time, just several hours ago, the leader of the DPRK, Kim Jong Un, met with Chinese President Xi Jinping, and the two had a big discussion. The outcome of that was that North Korea announced its commitment to the denuclearization of the peninsula if certain actions were followed through by the United States. The three-day visit served to renew bilateral relations which has soured over the last years, as North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons has led to Chinese-backed sanctions from the United Nations. Kim Jong Un said the issue of denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula can be resolved if South Korea and the United States respond to our efforts with goodwill and create an atmosphere of peace and stability while taking progressive and synchronous measures for the realization of peace. It is our consistent stand to be committed to the denuclearization of the peninsula in accordance with the will of the late President Kim Il-sung and late General Secretary Kim Jong-il. China briefed Trump on Kim's visit, and the communication included a personal message from Xi to Trump, the White House said in a statement. Well, this certainly explains a couple days ago the incident that I reported on Twitter that an armored train passing from the DPRK to China crossed the border, but there was no mention in the news of anything about it, not even in the Chinese media either. So it turns out that this was Kim Jong Un on his way to China to meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, we do have to understand that these nuclear weapons and this commitment to denuclearization takes place in a particular context. As it stands, the DPRK and any other oppressed country needs a means of defending itself from imperialist aggression, or at the very least, some kind of massive deterrent, as the DPRK has always been trying to have. So long as the United States poses a threat, and it's the primary threat to the DPRK, then it needs some kind of nuclear deterrence against those attacks. It's sure that the DPRK would prefer a world that didn't have nuclear weapons, but we don't live in a world of peace. We live in a world of imperialism, which you need to defend yourself from. Now, it's very interesting that this trip comes right now, ahead of a big summit that's supposed to take place. Now, some say that this is actually supposed to be practice for that summit. Now, I'm certain that Kim Jong-un might be willing to put the nuclear program on hold in exchange for getting rid of a lot of the sanctions that are going on against the country. However, I do not believe that Kim Jong-un or the DPRK is willing to scrap the entire nuclear program. I mean, that's not going to happen. That's not even been the case during his father's leadership. It has been put on hold, but it has never been gotten rid of. Now, this is all happening as John Bolton steps into office. And Bolton is a war hawk, and it appears that Donald Trump is determined to cause a war with somebody, just either out of malice or just out of his own incompetence as a leader. So, as this is happening, as the U.S. is now stepping up more and more aggression, the DPRK is coming out with the willingness to negotiate over the whole situation. There can be peace. There doesn't have to be nuclear weapons as long as you leave us alone, you allow us to conduct trade, etc. in exchange for that. So, basically, what's probably going to happen here is the U.S. is going to reject the offer, because that's what they do, and that's certainly what John Bolton would do. So this is going to make the U.S. look like the tyrant that it is in this situation. The DPRK says, okay, we will come to the table, we will discuss, we can make plans for peace, and the U.S. is going to reject them. So in the eyes of the international community, this is going to expose pretty much the real face of U.S. imperialism, which apparently a lot of people still need it to be exposed to them. So I think that this is very much a political move on the part of the DPRK. I don't believe, as some people have suggested, that somehow North Korea is scared of John Bolton coming to office, and this is all of a sudden a 180 in order to avoid some kind of invasion, because they've always been prepared for that since the beginning. So I really don't think that's the case. I think this is more of a political move to make the U.S. look bad. This is somewhat similar to the situation with the Olympics in South Korea, in which the DPRK gave friendly overtones to everybody, particularly to the South, marching under the Korean unification flag, willing to talk peacefully and to discuss peace with everybody, but then the U.S. just completely shunned them and would refuse to do it, particularly as led by Mike Pence. And then this made the U.S. look bad. It looks like it's not committed to peace. It's committed to invasion of the country, which is very much the situation that they're in right now. So I think that as the situation goes on, more of the real face of the U.S. is going to be exposed, and that's pretty much the political plan of the DPRK. Now, how successful that will be, I don't imagine it'll be very successful at all. But it will go a long way towards exposing what the U.S. empire is actually about. And in the eyes of the in the eyes of the international community, it will seem very much that the U.S. is the aggressor in this situation, which it very much is. But a lot of people really need to be woken up to that. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.